Tonight on The Insight, we'll take a look at some of the devastation of Friday's storm and also give you an insider's look on residence hall conditions.
We'll also talk about the recent impacts of NAFTA and give you a preview of the upcoming season in baseball, so stay tuned.
Because The Insight starts now. Good evening and welcome to The Insight. I'm Stephanie Edmondson.
And I'm Lakeisha Hardy. Friday, February 16th is still in the minds of most residents in the Golden Triangle.
The straight-line winds that swept through Starkville caused millions of dollars in damages to homes, businesses, and the university.
I was actually caught in the storm, Stephanie. It was very scary. And I was out getting lunch at Burger King, and I had to go into Burger King after the storm was over, and the city was just a mess.
I realize that. I know that a lot of electricity was out in Starkville for quite some time. I understand that the windshields were knocked out of cars, and damage was done to McComas building, but luckily a lot of people were safe, and we'll have more information on that story come next week on The Insight.
And unfortunately, residents still have to deal with the aftermath of the effects of the storm. Where we going?
Although over 90% of incoming freshmen live on campus, some residence halls are still in need of improvement. Insight reporter Lakeisha Hardy gives us an inside look at the lifestyle of on-campus living.
Dorm life has always been a college tradition on most campuses, but there is more college students should know about when it comes to living in the residence hall. The conditions of the dorms have become a main concern for students living on campus. There are many issues students want to address when it comes to safety and sanitation. Janice Ray, a resident of Smith Hall, says more.
When I moved into Smith Hall at the beginning of the fall of 2000, my air conditioner was filled with mold and mildew. My mother had to clean the air conditioner herself because, and it is on my housing applications, I have allergies. I'm allergic to mold as well as mildew. And my air conditioner had a phenomenal amount of mold and mildew inside of it. That it was so clogged with mold and mildew until the air stunk.
The students have the option to call maintenance when there is a problem in the dorms. Assistant Director of Facilities for Housing and Residence Life, J.E. Logan, refused to be videotaped, but he answered many questions. He said the most common work requests included replacing light bulbs and overloaded electrical currents. I asked Mavis Cray, a Hamlin Hall resident, about a positive aspect about the dorms, despite the conditions.
Although the dorms compared to some of the other universities, the dorms at Mississippi State are pretty good, so from what I hear and from what I've saw at other schools.
Many students commonly complain about the showers, bathrooms, mattresses, and beds. I asked the Director of Housing and Residence Life, Ann Bailey, about some of the issues many students are concerned about.
Well, in the meantime, we're aware of an ant problem over in Smith because of where the building is located, and we spray on a monthly basis. We have a pest control plan that we put into place where maintenance and facilities will spray residence rooms, not only Smith, but all the halls on a regular schedule. We spray additionally as people request.
Some students feel as if their complaints have not been addressed quickly enough. As a result, many students have elected to commute or get an apartment, even though renovations have been done on McKee and Sessoms. Creswell Hall is scheduled next for remodeling.
With the conditions of the dorms, Housing and Residence Life has a lot to consider, and many students have the choice to live or not to live in the dorms. I'm Lakeisha Hardy, reporting for The Insight.
We took our cameras to the streets to see exactly what you had to say about campus living.
Well, the things that I like about the dorm is that they're close to all your classes. You don't have to worry about coming in the morning trying to find a parking spot so you'll be close to your classes, or, you know, you just have a set place to come back and forth from. And then you don't have to worry about going on and off campus from the different times of your class or finding somewhere to stay in between your classes.
The heat system, the heat always stays on, so you've always got to run your air conditioning. And I've been sick for the entire year because the heat and coolness in my room is never right, and I keep the window open just to kind of keep things going.
I'm getting a little emotional because I'm just so blessed to stay in these dorms. And in Hamlin, there are like roaches and ants and things of that nature that come crawling out. And they like come out in the middle of the night, and then once you get sprayed for them, they still come back again. I feel that they're not using the right pesticides and stuff.
If you have an opinion on this or any other story ideas, send us an email to insight@org.msstate.edu. That's insight@org.msstate.edu.
Small communities are feeling the effects of company downsizing due to NAFTA. Kit Bryant reports on how small businesses are handling the drawbacks.
Calhoun City. Like most small communities in Mississippi, its economy is supported by 2 or 3 large factories, like Kelwood Incorporated, that employ a large percentage of the population. But since the passing of the North American Free Trade Agreement in 1993, more and more of these factories have begun to expand to Mexico and Central America and downsizing the existing factories in the United States. The downsizing of these factories causes a tremendous hit to the economy of the small communities in which they exist.
The economic impact on this community because of the industry that has moved to Mexico has been devastating. This is a community that depended on apparel manufacturing, and in November of '99, the factory announced that they were moving a major proportion of their production to Mexico. At that time, all services in the community ceased. We lost most of our business for Christmas that year, which is the season that we depend on as a retail gift market.
Originally designed to help expand the nation's economy and increase trade with other nations, NAFTA has strayed from its original intent. Oktibbeha County Economic Development Authority John Rucker explains more.
We would be importing and exporting and have a good balance of trade, but it hasn't happened that way. We don't export nearly as much as we import, for example, from Mexico, because the price is less and people are buying more from down in there, so we really have a trade deficit as opposed to having an equalized trade situation. And that's one of the things that NAFTA was supposed to do. It's kind of failed, you know, in that regard.
Kelwood declined a request for an on-camera interview, but a spokesperson for the company says although the company has downsized, there are no plans to close down the factory altogether. And of the 300 jobs that were lost in the initial downsize, 70% were relocated elsewhere in the factory, and the other 30% either took early retirement or severance from the company. So what lies in store for communities such as Calhoun City?
So the closure of one company is not going to affect us as it would, say, in maybe Calhoun County, where you have a major industry there, and you don't have a lot of industry. But in our particular case, we're fortunate. So Tupelo's fortunate. Columbus is fortunate. But the cities like Calhoun City and some of the other towns up and down the TVA area in North Mississippi are not faring nearly as well, and they're having a lot of closures.
While the future of Calhoun City and other towns like it remains unclear, the impact of NAFTA is evident everywhere. For The Insight, I'm Kit Bryant.
And coming up, we'll tell you about the Mississippi State Diamond Dogs' upcoming season.
So stay tuned for more insight.
In this multicultural, interconnected world, things change really fast. The only way to compete globally is to get a global education. As a YFU international exchange student, you gain the knowledge and the skills that will prepare you to be a world player. If you're between 15 and 18 and have the guts to jump out of your familiar surroundings and land in one of 30 countries around the world, you're the type of student YFU is looking for. Call 1-800-ARE-YOU-READY and ask for this free book on international exchange for high school students.
In a world of constant change, a solid foundation is the key to success. The 12 institutions comprising the Southeastern Conference form pillars of academic and athletic excellence. For more than 6 decades, the SEC's commitment to teamwork and achievement has provided the foundation for student athletes to become the leaders of the next millennium. The Southeastern Conference, a proven past, a promising future.
I have diabetes.
It can lead to more serious health problems.
I'm taking control of what I eat.
I'm exercising, taking my medicine, and testing my blood sugar.
I'll be around for my family, for life.
Control your diabetes for life. Call to find out how.
Excuse me, are you Santa Claus? If you are him, here's my list.
Help the Marines make Christmas possible for less fortunate children. Donate a new toy to Toys for Tots.
Hi, I graduated from a small high school in a small town, and going off to college was pretty scary. That's one reason I'm glad I came to Mississippi State University. Everyone here is so friendly, and the professors are so helpful. It's almost like I never left home. I feel like the people here are really watching out for me, and I know I'm getting a great education.
Strike three and you're out. It's baseball season again, and the Mississippi State Diamond Dogs are geared up to play. Here's Michelle Katsan with an up-close look at the team's outlook on the season.
Baseball season is here. What's in store for the MSU Diamond Dogs this year? With several new position players, a great pitching staff, a competitive schedule, and the best baseball field in the country, it's bound to be an exciting year for MSU. As we preview this season and talk with the coaches, maybe you can make your own predictions of just how great the Diamond Dogs will be. This year, the Diamond Dogs will start the season off at home in the NBC Classic. The tournament will feature Notre Dame and University of New Orleans. The Bulldogs have a challenging schedule ahead, and they can't wait for a chance to compete. As spring training wraps up and practice begins, head coach Pat McMahon gives us insight on the new team, the upcoming schedule, and why fans are so important.
You know, each year presents some new and exciting challenges, and this year is no exception. We've got a very young and inexperienced ball club, but they've worked very hard, so we're very excited about the upcoming season. So replacing players is always a difficult task. This year exceptionally in that we have to replace 6 starters, so we've got some young and inexperienced ball players, some young men who we feel, as the season grows, will mature and be outstanding players. You've really got to count on your returning players. That's a big key, because they bring a wealth of experience to the ball club. You know, one of the great traditions is our fan base. We're very proud of all of our fans that we think is the greatest college atmosphere in all of the United States. And a huge part of that fan base is our students. We'd love to welcome them to every ball game to help root the Dogs on.
Assistant coach Jim Case also had some positive feedback concerning the Bulldogs and the 2001 pitching staff. I asked Coach Case to predict what the outcome of this season will be, and this is what he had to say.
Well, you know, our pitching staff is very deep this year. We returned a lot of guys who have been through the fire, but we also had some new guys who are really talented. So we feel great about our pitching staff, and they've worked really hard to get ready. The biggest thing that we've got to do is to find the roles that they fit into, who's going to start, who will be our middle guys, and then who will be our closer. And that's what we'll be trying to do the first few weeks of the season. We're very excited about the 2001 season. We feel like that we have some experience returning. We have some really good young players, and they've worked really hard. One of the things that I think is best about this team is during the fall and during the off season and the preseason, they worked themselves extremely hard and never wasted days of practice, and I think that all of that will pay off during the year. Certainly there'll be high points and there'll be low points, but if we stick together, I really feel like this team will have a great chance to be special come tournament time.
Matt Ishii, assistant coach and coordinator of baseball camps, encourages students to continue supporting the Diamond Dogs this season.
Yeah, the guys are really excited about, they're always excited when the students get there because they always make a lot of noise and they show themselves, and everyone knows when they're there. So we encourage all the students to come out to the field this year and watch the Bulldogs play.
As you have seen and heard, the 2001 Diamond Dogs are ready to compete. The MSU baseball team has a lot of new talent, a great schedule, and the reputation of a prestigious ball club. You can't go wrong with those qualities. So, pack up your coolers and grab your cowbells and head out to Dudy Noble, the greatest place to watch college baseball.
Well, Keisha, I'm really excited about baseball season. Hopefully we'll have a good year this year.
That's all the time we have for this week's edition of The Insight. We hope you've enjoyed it.
And thanks for joining us tonight. We'll see you here next time on The Insight. Have a good weekend. Tonight on The Insight, we'll take a look at the impact of the big storm, and we will look at the hot topic faith-based programs dealing with the separation of church and state.
And are your kids safe at the local recreation center? We'll investigate what goes on in and around places kids go for fun.
Later, find out how to break into the radio business from a local radio star, so stay with us.
Because The Insight starts now.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to The Insight. I'm Stephanie Edmondson.
And I'm Vanessa Culpepper. And I'm also a little overwhelmed at the weather we've been having lately around here in other parts of North Mississippi. We've been having a lot of storms, and it's pretty overwhelming.
I know, especially for the month of February. This kind of weather is a little scary, especially for everyone going to the beach or something spring break, you know?
Yep. It's kind of keeping us on the edge of our seats.
That is true, Vanessa.
Where we'll be going.
Everyone remembers the storm not long ago. It affected mostly everyone in Starkville. I went out on the streets to see the aftermath of the storm. Does this look familiar to you? I'm sure all of you remember or were even affected by the storm of Starkville. Not even 2 weeks ago, and places are still being worked on. Trees were uprooted, leaving rubbish all over the streets. The power was out for days. Signs were knocked down, and the storm left damages to cars, buildings, and even homes. Apartments in Starkville were demolished, and students had to move out. Some area schools even shut down due to the damages caused. I spoke with a student from EMCC and a worker at the Bulldog Deli who was affected by the storm.
I was at work. I made sandwiches, and we were making some sandwiches, and all of a sudden the power went out. We couldn't make sandwiches anymore.
Electric and power companies from surrounding cities and states came to Oktibbeha County to help clean up. Clay Bowen, a worker for the city, gives his experience on the storm.
I'm a local worker for the city of Starkville, and at the time I was just doing a job around town. The tornado hit, and then we all had to go back to the main station, and we were all on call to clean up things such as the wood that you see behind me.
Over $6 million worth of damage were affected at Mississippi State University by the storm. The main places affected on campus here were McComas Hall, WMSV radio station, the Physical Plant Building, and Forest Products Lab.
President Malcolm Patera said all of the affected buildings on campus were functional and would begin work soon.
About 80% of the town have lost its power, so the lines were down everywhere. We're still cleaning up a lot of wood and a lot of down just debris and damage.
Governor Ronnie Musgrove received permission from President Bush to claim this storm a federal disaster. Musgrove spoke with Mississippi State University's President Malcolm Patera when he arrived in Starkville. He said the state will do whatever is necessary to get the damaged buildings back into order. With days gone by since the disaster, Starkville is slowly getting back in order. Reporting for The Insight, I'm Stephanie Edmondson.
President Bush has been in office for a cool 2 months, and yet he's managed to tackle some hot topics. He's proposed allocating funds for church programs to aid in helping the community. While some people find this initiative good-hearted, others are not so welcoming. Here's Melissa Harris with more.
The separation of church and government has been a debated topic for centuries, and although today we've managed to juggle the two, there are still some instances where church and state collide and cause conflict. The recently proposed government funding of faith-based programs has stirred emotions at the Starkville Community Church. Ministers Reg Parsons and Steve Davis work side by side on a daily basis, but the issue of government-funded faith-based programs has the two at odds. Minister Parsons believes the program can work despite the separation of church and state.
Oh, I don't think there's any doubt about it. I don't see a violation. I think the Constitution, the First Amendment, the separation of church and state can always be there and will be there. I think you have to watch it, you have to monitor it, but I think we're both about the same thing, I hope. The church is for lifting up of all mankind and for ministering in that fashion and giving everybody the opportunities. This faith-based program can help in given areas so it's more of a personal relationship, not just a check handed to somebody. But there's a voice, there's a name with it, there's a person, there's a family. I think that identification needs to be there. And who can do it better than the faith community?
The faith-based program initiative proposed by President Bush have already been in place in some churches, such as the First Presbyterian Child Care Center behind me. However, not everyone is in favor of the faith-based program.
One of the things that bothers me, I read in one of the articles that I was reading, is that the church has always stood as a prophetic voice in the community and in the nation and in the world against injustice and oppression and evil within government and outside of government and in society. And if a church or an organization is accepting hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars and they want to make sure they get it every year, then they're going to be not as prophetic. They're going to watch what they say, so they'll make sure they don't offend anybody in Congress or somewhere else.
The debate over the separation between church and state will probably continue forever. Although some churches seem to manage the two entities very well, only time will tell if federally funded church programs will have a happy ending. For The Insight, I'm Melissa Harris.
Every week, we take our cameras out to the street to see just what you have to say. Here are your opinions on faith-based programs.
I believe everybody should deserve some help, and especially the people who need it. I sure do.
Yes, I do believe they should if the church wants the money.
No, I don't.
Why?
Well, I think the president should be over that, period.
Yes, I do, because I think if the government wants to help church people, that's fine. I mean, if they've been doing it and they want to help them after helping people so long, I think it's fine.
I think that's up to politics to decide. I think anybody within need in the United States of America, I mean, it's a free country. I think everybody should be able to help everybody.
If you have an opinion on this or any other story ideas, send an email to insight@org.msstate.edu. That's insight@org.msstate.edu.
If you're wondering how to start a career in the radio business, you should not miss our next story.
So stay tuned for more insight.
The Southeastern Conference, setting the standard. unprecedented year in athletic and academic achievement. 12 member institutions committed to excellence and the promise of the future. The Southeastern Conference, where champions are made.
How would you like to work with molecular biologists designing genetically improved crops, or use remote sensing technology to manage Earth's resources from space? You could even help design the next generation of aircraft and submarines, learning and working in the only National Science Foundation Engineering Research Center focused on supercomputing. You can do it all at Mississippi State, a national research university preparing leaders for the 21st century.
It's about your money and making your money work for you. It's about education and owning your own home. It's about a piece of the action, about competitive rates and tax breaks. It's about vacations and retirement. It's about America, U.S. savings bonds.
Mississippi State, one of America's top 100 research universities, provides leadership in scientific agriculture. Our researchers work with corporations such as Monsanto and Delta and Pineland to design genetically improved cotton that protects itself from insects and resists disease. Mississippi State biotechnology research reduces the need for chemical insecticides, and that benefits farmers and the environment. Mississippi State University, providing leadership for the 21st century.
Puzzled about Social Security? To help decide its future, learn how all the pieces fit together now. Call 1-800-772-1213 and ask for the booklet, The Future of Social Security.
Many people have aspirations of becoming big-time broadcasters one day. Ben Hart reports on what it takes to break into the radio business.
The beat of the Golden Triangle, Power 92. My girl Monica was just another girl, and I'm sending that one out to Stacy, holding it down at EMCC, and you know why she loves that song, because I know why I love it. Anyway, join the Power 92 crew every Wednesday night for Ladies Night at Cheers in Starkville. The Power 92 Ladies Night is the talk of the Golden Triangle, so don't miss it, ladies. Your first 2 drinks are on us, and we'll also have loads of door prizes, and get there early.
Have you ever wondered what it's like to be in broadcasting? One thing almost everybody does when they first get in their car is turn on the radio. Power 92's First Lady, Morella, tells us what it's like to be in the radio business.
Yes, I truly, truly enjoy my job with radio. I'm very comfortable. I've improved a lot over the years, and actually I started out as an intern, you know, being persistent and wanting to do it a great amount. So I'm very comfortable with it now, and it's amazing how I only talk for maybe 30 seconds. A minute in all in like 1 hour, but I'm communicating with so many people. So, I mean, it's great. I love it.
Program Director Kenny Smoove explains why with the technology of today, it's imperative to have experience.
It's getting tougher because of consolidation, computers, and automation. I call them the TION factors, you know, the consolidation, the automation, and the corporations. What they're doing is that they're just constricting the opportunity for a young guy straight out of college to get in. If you don't start in the market like here and get an opportunity, get a shot to get something on your resume, it's going to be hard for you to go to Denver or go to Phoenix or DC or somewhere and try to get a shot to really make some money in this business. The main thing I can say is stay focused and get what it is that you want. You know, if you want to program. If you want to be, you know, the next time joiner, then stay focused towards that. Find out what it is that you really enjoy doing in this business, lock in on it, and keep rolling.
So in other words, if you really want to get into broadcasting, take a lesson from Nike, come prepared to work, and just do it. For The Insight, I'm Ben Hart.
Do you know where your children go after school hours? Do you know what kind of environment surrounds your children when they are at a local recreation park? I looked at the condition of these local parks, and you can decide for yourself if they're ideal for your children.
Where do your children play when they're no longer in school? Are they going to a place that you think is free from drugs and violence? The Starkville recreation parks visited by many local youth may not be as safe as you think. Lieutenant Gerald Davis gives us insight on the reality of park conditions.
The J.L. King Park Community Center is pretty neat. I mean, it's in pretty good condition. And it's pretty safe. The community center down at on Gillespie Street Center is probably one of the most unsafe as far as illegal activity going on in Starkville.
The children and teenagers who spend time at these parks may not even be aware of any present negativity.
Because I feel like it's a fun place because we eat here and we play here and my friends hang out here and no fights and we don't do drugs here.
Yeah, it's a good place. We come and play basketball, let the kids play around.
Lieutenant Davis explains why drugs may not seem as visible to Portia and Darrell.
Well, dealers are there whenever they think there's a dollar. A lot of kids are not aware of what's going on because the work that the narcotics people have done, all the enforcement agencies around here has basically driven a lot of it underground.
The recreation park on Gillespie Street is also in need of renovation.
Like over there is the toilets. There are no toilets around here. And I think they need nets for the basketball goals.
Basically the whole thing, especially like the little kids playground and the bathrooms, because the bathrooms were kept up good when we was little. It's like they just stopped keeping it up and it just got nasty afterwards.
A representative from Starkville Parks and Recreation, who wasn't available for an interview, said that this building and the surrounding recreation area should not be open for public use. She also said that the bathroom should be locked up and there are plans to tear it down in the future. So should you keep your children away from these parks? Lieutenant Davis offers a final thought.
I think the good can overcome the bad. I think if enough good kids go down there, it will drive the bad kids out, especially if they stand up.
So if your children do go to these parks, stress the importance of avoiding negativity and encourage simply having fun. For The Insight, I'm Vanessa Culpepper. That's all the time we have now for this week's edition of The Insight. We hope you've enjoyed it.
Thanks for joining us tonight, and we'll see you here next time on The Insight. Coming up on The Insight, we'll take an up-close and personal look at the secrecy behind eating disorders within our society.
And we'll also find out why more and more students are gambling on college and professional games.
Later, we will inform you on how to relax from the stress of everyday lives. So stay with us,
because The Insight starts now.
Good evening and welcome to The Insight. I'm Stephanie Edmondson.
And I'm Vanessa Culpepper.
Anorexia and bulimia are the most common eating disorders within our society, but there is more to be known about the secrecy behind these disorders. Lakeisha Hardy tells us more.
When we think of college life,
Eating disorders are an issue we all neglect, but there's more that should be known about this topic. Director of the Counseling Center, Linda Cox, explains more.
The history of eating disorders is quite a long one. We have written accounts of women engaging in anorexic behaviors as early as late 1700s, early 1800s in England. However, it's only in the last 2 to 3 decades that it's become a predominant issue in the American consciousness and in our psychological professions.
Eating disorders are characterized by extreme emotions, attitudes, and behaviors surrounding weight and food issues experienced by both men and women. The most common eating disorders are anorexia nervosa and bulimia nervosa. Common symptoms of anorexia nervosa includes refusal to maintain body weight and an intense fear of weight gainage and extreme concern with body, weight, and shape. Bulimia nervosa is characterized by repeated episodes of binging and purging. Some ways the person may choose to purge will include the use of laxatives or diet pills. Binge eating, an eating disorder that is often overlooked, is characterized by continuous eating beyond the point of being full. I asked Dr. Cox how friends and family members should react if they suspect that someone that they love may be suffering with an eating disorder.
Well, keep in mind that eating disorders, like most psychological problems, really thrives with secrecy and silence. So the worst thing you can do is not say anything. You can use I statements and approach the person when you're not having a fight or a conflict with them and say, I am concerned about you because I have noticed, and then point out the behavioral things you've seen that concern you about this person. Give them the names of some people who can help them. Give them the names of counselors. Send them to the counseling center. Take them, walk them over to the counseling center. What you want to avoid is a power struggle with these people. You don't want to say you have to.
Many people think that eating disorders are only caused by an individual's issue with food. But our culture's definition of beauty is a factor that increases the probability of developing an eating disorder. Julie Smith, a social worker at MSU, explains how cultural pressures about thinness has affected the diagnosis of eating disorders.
Traditionally, eating disorders have been found in upper class sections of society and with Caucasians. However, more recent studies show that lower middle class individuals with Jewish, Catholic, and Italian backgrounds experience a higher rate of eating disorders. And it's suspected that that's due to cultural attitudes about the importance of food in those communities.
Americans spend over $34 billion a year on diet products. And until there's a broader range of beauty in our society, it seems as if eating disorders will continue to be a controversial issue for a while. I'm Lakeisha Hardy, reporting for the Insight.
Gambling on sporting events is not uncommon. With basketball in full swing and baseball season beginning, more and more students are making bets on these games. But is gambling in college a good idea? Here's Kit Bryant to tell us more.
College basketball. While the season winds down, the action heats up, and so does the amount of gambling that surrounds the sport. Gambling is nothing new to college campuses, but with the increase in televised games and internet sites devoted to gambling, the number of those betting on college sports has increased. According to the Mississippi State Counseling Service, the usual gamblers are males between the ages of 18 and 24 with a moderate economic background. There are many types of gambling that students participate in. Lieutenant Gerald Davis of the Starkville Police Department explains.
Well, you always got your what we call social gambling, which is your the football squares where maybe you pick a square or something like that, and then you have what is called bookie operation, which is where you go into a person and you place a bet, and he's got odds, You know, you have to pay him a certain amount of money, which is usually $5 to $10 a bet.
Lieutenant Davis was responsible for the raid on Cheers earlier this year.
Cheers was a bookie operation, and I was able to develop enough information from the Cheers deal in order to place this one on the federal level.
But most gambling takes place between gamblers and bookies. One bookie who requested to remain anonymous explains his reasons for gambling.
Yeah, I like to run numbers. I really like to run them in the football season. I started about 3 years ago, and sometimes I can make up to about $5,000 on a weekend.
Gambling is not limited to just one season.
Once football ends, then you get involved with basketball, and once basketball ends, then you get involved with baseball, and it just trickles on down the line. I mean, it's one season right after the next. So it's a continuing operation. It's not something that's seasonal.
While it remains mostly underground, gambling is becoming a bigger part of student life. For the Insight, I'm Kit Bryant.
Every week we take our cameras out to the street to see what insights you have to share about the issues that affect our lives. Here's a look at your opinions on gambling on campus.
You ready to go now?
I think it could be a problem if they're going down so often that they're neglecting their studies, and it's becoming so habit-forming that it's affecting their life and their relationships. If it's becoming an addiction, I think it definitely could become a problem.
I don't think there's a whole lot of gambling, but, you know, if there's a lot, and sometimes it might get out of control, like if somebody owes somebody else a lot of money or something, and then, like, you know, if a fight or something gets started over it, then that's, like, you know, a little too far. But if it's just like a few dollars or something, I don't think it's no big deal.
Well, I don't think there's results one way or the other to indicate if it's good or bad gambling, and I think it needs to be studied further. I know that Social Science Research Center at Mississippi State is looking into those issues, so I think before people jump to conclusions, we need to sit down and take a look at what's actually going on.
Well, I don't think gambling is that big of a problem. Just don't gamble too much money away. That's just the way I look at it, you know, quick money.
If you have an opinion on this or any other story ideas, send an email to insight@org.msstate.edu. That's insight@org.msstate.edu.
Is your life filled with more and more work? We will tell you how to relax and take a break from the stress in your life.
So stay tuned for more Insight.
The Southeastern Conference, setting the standard. An unprecedented year in athletic and academic achievements. 12-member institutions committed to excellence and the promise of the future. The Southeastern Conference, where champions are made.
How would you like to work with molecular biologists designing genetically improved crops, or use remote sensing technology to manage Earth's resources from space? You could even help design the next generation of aircraft and submarines, learning and working in the only National Science Foundation Engineering Research Center focused on supercomputing. You can do it all at Mississippi State, a national research university preparing leaders for the 21st century.
It's about your money and making your money work for you. It's about education and owning your own home. It's about a piece of the action, about competitive rates and tax breaks. It's about vacations and retirement. It's about America, U.S. savings bonds.
Mississippi State, one of America's top 100 research universities, provides leadership in scientific agriculture. Our researchers work with corporations such as Monsanto and Delta and Pineland to design genetically improved cotton that protects itself from insects and resists disease. Mississippi State biotechnology research reduces the need for chemical insecticides, and that benefits farmers and the environment. Mississippi State University, providing leadership for the 21st century.
Puzzled about Social Security? To help decide its future, learn how all the pieces fit together now. Call 1-800-772-1213 and ask for the booklet, The Future of Social Security.
Stress is definitely a part of all of our lives. we will show you how and where to get fast relief. Michelle Casson visits one of Mississippi's finest wellness centers to find stress-relieving answers.
Are you stressed out? Well, you're definitely not alone. Today I'm going to tell you a few ways on how you can relieve some of that lingering stress. La Bonne Santé Wellness Center and Day Spa is a great place to go for stress relief. I went to check it out myself and found some very satisfying results. We've all heard it, said it, or thought it before. I need a massage. Once considered just to be hedonistic pampering for the rich and famous, massage therapy is now finding enormous popularity among millions of Americans. Massage therapy provides relief to people from all walks of life: the weekend athlete, the home gardener, the overstressed executive, secretaries, waitresses, laborers, students. Virtually anyone can feel a need for massage therapy sooner or later. Numerous research studies conducted in the United States, Europe, and Asia have documented that far beyond simply feeling good, massage therapy has an impressive range of physical, mental, and emotional benefits. Up to 90% of all visits to primary care physicians are for stress-related complaints, such as headaches, backaches, neck pain, eye strain, poor concentration, anxiety, depression, irritability, anger, high blood pressure, heart disease, ulcers, as well as physical and emotional exhaustion. Massage therapy has an amazing effect on your body's nervous system. When massage therapy activates your body's parasympathetic nervous system, it counteracts your body's negative response to stress, relaxing muscle tension and allowing your heart rate, blood pressure, and circulation to return to normal. Massage therapy also helps you become more aware of your body and your unconsciously held tension. La Bonne Santé also offers a variety of special facials. The Express Facial allows you to relax with a deep skin cleansing followed by a soothing, hydrating mask. Hands and feet also carry a lot of stress. There is no better way to relieve your body than a manicure and a pedicure. The Deluxe Spa Pedicure was the next thing for me to do. I distressed and relaxed my tired feet in the mineralizing and softening whirlpool bath in preparation for my deluxe foot treatment. The nails are clipped, filed, and shaped as the cuticles are conditioned. The Pavonia exfoliation mask is applied to any rough, dry areas for softening and removal. Finally, relaxing, moisturizing treatment accompanies foot reflexology. Leave relaxed, refreshed, and hydrated. The spa manicure includes complete filing and shaping of the nails, conditioning of the cuticles, gentle exfoliation and hydration with massage of the hands. Then, use of aromatherapy paraffin treatment will leave the hands feeling smooth and revitalized. As you can see, La Bonne Santé Wellness Center and Day Spa was instrumental in relieving my body of stress. Now it's your turn. Let the professionals at La Bonne Santé help you get rid of all the stress. I'm Michelle Casson, reporting for The Insight.
That massage looked wonderful, but unfortunately that's all the time we have now for this week's edition of The Insight. We hope you've enjoyed it, and remember, if you have any opinion or ideas for any news stories, then please email us at insight@org.mstate.edu.
Thanks for joining us tonight, y'all, and we'll see you here next time on The Insight. Coming up on The Insight, we'll take a look at some techniques for protecting yourself from dog attacks.
And learn more about adoption and the strategic process that goes along with it.
We will also talk about the impact of drinking and driving and the many different lives that are affected. So don't go away.
Because The Insight starts now.
Good evening and welcome to The Insight. I'm Stephanie Edmondson.
And I'm Michelle Kassan.
The recent dog attacks have created an acute awareness about people's reactions to stray dogs. The techniques that you can use can possibly save your life when faced with a vicious animal. Here's Insight reporter Melissa Harris with tips on how to handle stray dogs.
Have you ever been approached by one of these and had no clue as to how to react? Dog attacks are occurring more frequently than ever, and most people are not aware of how to react in the situation. Dr. Mark Stickney at the MSU Vet School shares tips on how to handle potentially dangerous dogs.
First things that you want to do is never pet a stray dog. Some of them look friendly and some of them don't, but you never know what kind of a dog you're going to have coming up to you. And some dogs are actually fear biters, and they won't bite until they get scared, and they'll come up to you and be very friendly.
Dr. Stickney suggests that when approached by stray dogs, one should never run. Running will only cause the dog to adapt to its hunting instincts. Instead, you should try to remain calm and allow the dog to sniff you so he can realize that you are not a threat and then walk away slowly. For The Insight, I'm Melissa Harris.
Thousands of couples are unable to have children. While there is help for those who find themselves struggling to start a family, the process is usually long and heart-wrenching. But oftentimes, some situations have happy endings. Here's Vanessa Culpepper with the story.
Meet Gabriel Scoggin. He seems to be just an average baby, and he is, but to Joe and Kim Scoggin, he's extra special because they chose him.
He is 16 months old, and we adopted him last October, so we got him when he was, about 8 hours old.
Kim explains how she and her husband decided to adopt this bundle of joy.
We actually looked into going overseas because you have less of a risk of them changing their minds, which is if you've been through enough trying to have your own and enough disappointment and heartbreaks with that, the last thing that you think that you want is someone else changing their mind, right? When you finally get your hands on a baby, and lots of people that I know of have had, mothers change their minds, which is their prerogative, but when you're going through these problems anyway, it just kind of adds insult to injury.
Vicki Kimbrell, director of Bethany Christian Service Adoption Agency, tells us more about the adoption process.
People just can call in and give us their basic information, their name, address, and whether they're interested in domestic or international adoption, and we will send them an information packet. From the time they get that packet, it may be a year before their name is pulled up to actually be considered for study.
After many trials, Kim and her husband decided not to wait any longer on adoption.
I did get pregnant in 99 of June and had a miscarriage, and so that's when we were serious about going overseas. Then found out it took like 18 months to 22, 24 months to get a baby from, say, Russia, and I just had all I can take with waiting. So really one day I kind of had a little breakdown, and I really prayed, and I said, Lord, if you just had somebody call us and say, do you want a baby? I said, we would just say yes. If you could just have that happen. Of course, I thought, well, that will never happen. But 3 days later, when my good friends from residency called, and her first words were, do you want a baby? And I said, what? And she said, do you want a baby? My mom found this girl who is pregnant, and she's 7.5 months pregnant, and she doesn't have a family yet. And I said, yeah, let me talk to Joe. So anyway, within 24 hours, I was on the phone with the birth mother, Jennifer, and she said, well, you sound great, and you know, you and your husband sound exactly like a couple I was looking for, and I want to meet you.
A few months later, Kim and her husband were finally united with their son, Gabriel.
She had the baby, and within a few hours, I was on the plane to California and got to the hospital when he was 8 hours old.
But still, anxieties could not be laid to rest.
In California law, the birth mother has 72 hours to change her mind. So we had a whole week and a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday knowing that she could change her mind, and that was within her legal rights.
The happy ending did finally come, and all anxieties were laid to rest.
It's really unbelievable, and he's really brought a lot of healing into our lives and our hearts, and taken tremendous pressure off me, just feeling like, well, you've failed as a wife, or you failed as, you know, you can't get pregnant, or you can't carry a child to term and all that. So it's really just been a freeing experience. I mean, there's its own anxieties to go along with adoption, its own stresses with, you know, is the mother going to go through with it? Is she going to change her mind? Is she going to take the baby back? You know, all of those things. But it's been a wonderful experience and really blessed our lives, and I think just made us, you know, feel like a family. And I wholeheartedly recommend it to anybody who is, you know, really struggling or can't seem to get pregnant, or, you know, has struggled with infertility for years. That I wish we would have, you know, done it sooner. After I did it, I was like, well, what was I waiting for?
Adoption was certainly the best choice for Kim, her husband, and of course, Gabriel. For The Insight, I'm Vanessa Culpepper.
Stephanie, adoption is such a wonderful alternative for parents who cannot have their own children. I really agree with that. My father was adopted, therefore I'm a very strong believer in adoption. It's such a wonderful process.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, coming up on The Insight, you might want to seriously consider appointing a designated driver before going out tonight.
Driving under the influence is a federal offense and can hurt more than just your record.
So stay tuned, we'll be right back with that story.
The Southeastern Conference, setting the standard. Unprecedented year in athletic and academic achievements. 12-member institutions committed to excellence and the promise of the future. The Southeastern Conference, where champions are made.
How would you like to work with molecular biologists designing genetically improved crops, or use remote sensing technology to manage Earth's resources from space? You could even help design the next generation of aircraft and submarines. Learning and working in the only National Science Foundation Engineering Research Center focused on supercomputing. You can do it all at Mississippi State, a national research university preparing leaders for the 21st century.
It's about your money and making your money work for you. It's about education and owning your own home. It's about a piece of the action, about competitive rates and tax breaks. It's about vacations and retirement. It's about America, U.S. savings bonds.
Mississippi State, one of America's top 100 research universities, provides leadership in scientific agriculture. Our researchers work with corporations such as Monsanto and Delta and Pineland to design genetically improved cotton that protects itself from insects and resists disease. Mississippi State biotechnology research reduces the need for chemical insecticides, and that benefits farmers and the environment. Mississippi State University, providing leadership for the 21st century.
Puzzled about Social Security? To help decide its future, learn how all the pieces fit together now. Call 1-800-772-1213 and ask for the booklet, The Future of Social Security.
Do you hate drunk drivers? Well, I did a little investigation on DUIs, and after you hear this story, you definitely will not want to drink and drive. Drinking and driving, or more commonly known as DUI, can cause a major problem in some people's lives. From getting your license suspended to serving jail time, having a DUI is no fun. I asked the operations coordinator for Mississippi Alcohol Safety Education Program
What exactly is a DUI?
It stands for driving under the influence, when a person has drank what would be considered enough to alter their abilities or impair their abilities to drive, and they can be convicted of driving under the influence.
It is unlawful for any person to drive or otherwise operate a vehicle within this state who is under the influence of an alcoholic beverage. If you drink and drive, you will be punished and have to attend a program titled MASEP.
Mississippi Alcohol Safety Education Program.
Mike Lightsey, the coordinator operations instructor for Mississippi Alcohol Safety Education Program, explains what the MASEP program is.
It is the state program for first-time DUI offenders. Under state law, any first-time offender has to be ordered to the program by the court. They're ordered to attend the program, which is 12 hours in length. It's once a week for 4 weeks, 3 hours. We do what's called a group intervention approach.
Going out to bars can cause many problems for those who attempt to drink and drive back. If you know you're going to drink, have someone pick you up, or if you have to, walk home. No one likes a drunk driver. They are a danger to our streets and highways and will be arrested and penalized for their behavior. Drinking can cause car accidents and even death. So be smart and don't drink and drive. Finally, Mr. Lightsey gives some advice on how not to receive a DUI.
The best way, obviously, not to get a DUI at all is not to drive after drinking. The other is to make sure if you do drive after drinking that you're at a level that's well below impairment, and particularly impairment for yourself.
If you know someone who may be under the influence, go to them and help them, or give them a ride home. Don't let drinking and driving become a dangerous part of your life. For The Insight, I'm Stephanie Edmondson.
Well, I realized last week was spring break, and I hope students around here took precaution for those drinking and driving.
Well, Stephanie, I was actually in Florida for spring break, and I did see a lot of students taking taxis and getting designated drivers, so I think that everyone was being pretty precautious, which is a very good thing.
It is. It's a safe thing to do, too. If you have an opinion on this story or any other story idea, send an email to us at insight@org.msstate.edu. That's insight@org.msstate.edu.
That's all the time we have now for this week's edition of The Insight. We hope you've enjoyed it.
And we'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us tonight on The Insight.
It is almost diploma time, but now what? Coming up on The Insight, we'll give you hot tips on how to get a job after graduation.
And learn how to stay motivated to reach your summer weight loss goals.
And are you an animal lover? We will also give you a behind-the-scenes look at Mississippi State's vet school, so don't go away.
Because The Insight starts now.
Good evening and welcome to The Insight. I'm Stephanie Edmondson.
And I'm Michelle Kassan.
Graduation is just around the corner and many students are currently looking for jobs. Interviewing is an important aspect in future employment opportunities. Here's Kit Bryant with more on successful interviewing skills.
Signs of spring are everywhere, and with spring comes graduation and the search for a new job. There are several steps taken in acquiring a new job, but the most important is interviewing. But there are several steps to take before an actual interview. Dr. Hank Flicks tells us more.
There's 5 things that we recommend people to do. One is to inventory your skills. Know what you can do. Know what your technical skills are. Know what your human skills are. Know what your vision is for yourself and what you like to do. Just know what you can do. The second thing here is to do a resume, and that resume puts on paper actually what you can do. Before you get to the interview, register with Career Services, and they will assist you in that process of preparing yourself. Fourth thing you can do is just look for companies before you interview that would benefit from your skills. You've already inventoried the skills. Now what companies would pay you to develop and use those skills? And finally here to network.
When coming to the actual interview, there are several things to do as well as to avoid to make a good impression.
For posture-wise, we just say that you sit up straight in your chair, that you're not leaning too much on the armrest, getting too comfortable, and trying to maintain good eye contact with the interviewer.
Haber also suggests to remain as calm as possible during the interview, do not slouch or lean forward, and keep your hand movement to a minimum. She also gives a few suggestions for appearance.
The appearance is a big thing. For women, we say that pantsuit or skirt suit are acceptable. You don't want any high slits, knee length, to wear pantyhose without runs, closed-toe shoes with a heel, and be conservative with makeup, jewelry, perfume. You don't want any excess. Just always trying to be conservative when in doubt. For men, a suit and tie, make sure your shoes are polished, a white crisp shirt with a tie that's, navy blue or red, nothing real wild or flashy, just to keep your hair neat and trim.
The Career Service Center, located on the 3rd floor of the Culver Student Union, offers one-on-one counseling for interviews, as well as websites and links to other employment websites for all students. For The Insight, I'm Kit Bryant.
With summertime quickly approaching, more Americans are trying to shed pounds in order to get in shape. Lakeisha Hardy has more on how to achieve your weight loss goals before the summer.
It is almost that time of year again. I'm referring to summertime, when everyone sheds layers of clothes for more weather-appropriate outfits. But before you bring out your shorts, here are some tips on how to get in shape for the summer. Stephen Enfinger, Senior Fitness Instructor at the Sanderson Center, explains more.
Some good tips in order to get in shape for the summer. There's a lot of good tips to get in shape for the summer. Probably the most important one would be cardiovascular type exercises such as running, riding a bicycle, walking, even walking at a faster pace than you normally would, such as just to stroll around campus or around town. You need to walk a little faster than your normal pace. And then another good thing is your basic weight training. You don't need to neglect your weight training for your strength and your balance and agility. And there's basically 8 basic muscle groups you need to work. When you hit that, you need to target your chest, your buys, your arms, your legs, your back, and then your legs, there's your calf muscles, your quadriceps, and your hamstrings. And those basic muscle groups there and a easy weight training program and your cardiovascular training would be good for summer workout tips.
If you want efficient weight management and counseling, it is best to consult a physician. Or you could join a health club where you can be put on an exercise program. But if joining a gym is not an option for you, some quick and efficient exercises to try at home include lunges, squats, and crunches. But some people fall short of their weight loss goals before the summer. Here's Stephen Enfinger with more on how and why people do not achieve their weight loss goals.
Most people fall short, in my experience, is due to consistency. I mean, you can't come in here and work out 2 days a week and then eat good Monday through Friday and lose weight. You have to eat good 7 days a week, and you have to work out on a consistent basis. You can't work out a week, take a week off, and that's really tough, especially for college students and working people. You get involved with school projects, work projects, and people with children involved with children at home, and the consistency is really the key. You can't be inconsistent with it.
With a consistent exercise program, about 3 to 4 times a week for 30 minutes, you should not forget about adequate nutrition while trying to lose weight. Kevin Kozinski, graduate nutrition assistant at the Student Health Center, explains more.
Nutrition is the most important factor to consider when losing weight. Individuals have to take into account what they're consuming at the present moment in the form of carbohydrates, fats, as well as proteins, and also the way that they're getting these foods. Are they coming from nutrient-dense sources, such as your fruits and vegetables and your whole grain breads, or are they coming from processed foods in the U.S. food supply? Once we determine what the individual is now consuming, we can base a plan to reduce the weight and the calories.
A consistent exercise program, along with good nutrition, can help you achieve your weight loss goals for the summer. And remember, the key to losing weight is motivation. I'm Lakeisha Hardy, reporting for the Insight.
Every week we take our cameras out on the street to see what insights you have to share about issues that affect our lives. Here's what many people had to say about how they plan to get in shape for the summer.
I plan on getting in shape for the summer by lifting weights in here in the Sanderson Center, probably about 5 days a week, and running 2-3 days a week. Probably play a little volleyball. We usually play about once a week, and I'll probably try to play a little basketball and maybe ride my mountain bike once or twice every other week.
Well, I plan to try to get into the gym about 3 times a week, work on my upper body, and try to get that six-pack for the summer where I can walk around my shirt off.
Well, I plan to exercise 5 days a week, do an hour and 15 minutes of cardio a day, along with doing my weightlifting, probably between 3 to 4 days out of a week. And I will probably end up resting on Saturday and Sunday.
Well, to get in shape for the summer, I plan to do a lot of things such as swimming, running, playing basketball, things of that nature, and also staying in the gym at least 3 times a week.
I plan to continue going to the Sanderson Center and keep eating a healthy diet.
I plan to get in shape for the summer by going to the Sanderson Center that is open every day for all who wants to work out. I go to the Sanderson. I try to go every day so I can look like the bomb this summer.
Well, Michelle, they had some really good ideas on how to stay in shape. I know one thing that I need to start doing every day is walking to stay in shape.
Yeah, well, in the summer, I like to swim just because you can kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone, get a tan while you work out.
Exercising is a good thing, too.
If you have an opinion on this or any other story ideas, send an email to insight@org.msstate.edu. That's insight@org.msstate.edu.
And coming up on the Insight, if you ever have wondered how to enroll in vet school, then you should not miss our next story.
So where do you go to become an animal doctor? The MSU Vet Center may be the answer for you.
So stay tuned with us. We'll be right back.
In today's multicultural, interconnected world, things change really fast. The only way to compete globally is to get a global education. As a YFU international exchange student, you gain the knowledge and the skills that will prepare you to be a world player. If you're between 15 and 18 and have the guts to jump out of your familiar surroundings and land in one of 30 countries around the world, you're the type of student YFU is looking for. Call 1-800-ARE-YOU-READY and ask for this free book on international exchange for high school students.
In a world of constant change, a solid foundation is the key to success. The 12 institutions comprising the Southeastern Conference form pillars of academic and athletic excellence. For more than 6 decades, the SEC's commitment to teamwork and achievement has provided the foundation for student athletes to become the leaders of the next millennium. The Southeastern Conference, a proven past, a promising future.
I have diabetes.
It can lead to more serious health problems.
I'm taking control of what I eat.
I'm exercising, taking my medicine, and testing my blood sugar.
I'll be around for my family, for life.
Control your diabetes for life. Call to find out how.
Excuse me, are you Santa Claus? If you are him, here's my list.
Help the Marines make Christmas possible for less fortunate children. Donate a new toy to Toys for Tots.
Hi, I graduated from a small high school in a small town, and going off to college was pretty scary. That's one reason I'm glad I came to Mississippi State University. Everyone here is so friendly, and the professors are so helpful. It's almost like I never left home. I feel like the people here are really watching out for me, and I know I'm getting a great education.
Do you like to help animals? Have you ever considered becoming a vet? MSU's vet school has a lot to offer to the students. I took a deeper look into the enrollment and operation of the MSU vet school. The Mississippi State University Veterinarian School is one of the best in the country. The vet school is located in the Wise Center, just off campus, where you can find much more than a few classrooms.
Mississippi State has a lot to offer that other schools don't. I would like to preface it by saying we don't compete with other schools. We do work together very well, and if a student wants to go to vet school, then that student needs to go wherever's best for that student. And the decision is usually based, number one, on where you get in, and number two, on finances.
I talked with Barbara Coates in the admissions department to find out just what it takes to become a vet.
There's a misconception that you do have to have a 4-year degree in order to get into vet school. You do not. Vet school is a professional degree. So that 67 hours of prerequisites is what is required as far as classes go. Those 67 hours include 6 hours of English comp, a speech class, 6 hours of math, 14 hours of biological sciences, 18 hours of physical sciences, a nutrition class, and then 15 hours in any combination of the humanities, fine arts, and social and behavioral sciences. And once a student has completed those or is working toward completion of those, that student can apply for admission.
The vet school is located in the Wise Center, just off campus, where you can find much more than a few classrooms.
The College of Vet Medicine is housed here at the Wise Center. The Wise Center was named after our first dean, Dr. Wise. This is some 8 acres under one roof, 365,000 square feet. And that is not all used by the vet school. We have offices that are loaned to the Department of Animal and Dairy Science. The university's television center is here within our school. And the largest single area, I believe, is our animal health center.
One of the key benefits of attending Mississippi State's vet school is the invaluable hands-on experience offered.
We're the only school in the country in which sophomore students begin surgery labs. There's not another school that students are that far ahead. We're the only school that offers 2 full clinical years of study. The most that a student would get at another school is a year and a half from the middle of the junior year on.
The Mississippi State Vet School is not only a great place to get an education in veterinary medicine, it's got a lot to offer to the community as well.
Service to the community includes everything from our current students working with nursing home patients and working with the Humane Society to the fact that we do have our building available for various functions from the community. The service to the community also includes the fact that we do have the Animal Health Center, which is open not only to students of the college and the university and faculty and staff, but also people in the community, people from outside our immediate community bring their animals here. And the cost of health care is comparative to what would be available at a private setting. Another advantage is that we do things such as this, educating the public and other prospective students about what we have here.
If you dream of becoming a vet, now you have the knowledge to make your dream a reality. You can pick up an application in the admissions department at the Wise Center. This is Michelle Kassan reporting for the Insight.
Michelle, that was such a cute story. I love animals, and I just didn't realize how much the vet school had to offer.
Oh, Stephanie, it was incredible. It was so much fun. I got to see all kinds of animals going into surgery, and I just really learned a lot about our vet school at MSU and how great it is. So I hope some of you can take advantage of it. That's all the time we have now for this week's edition of The Insight. We hope you've enjoyed it.
You can get more information on The Insight on the web at www.msstate.edu/DEPT/communication. And thanks for joining us tonight. We'll see you here next time on The Insight. So you want to be a cover girl? The hottest men's magazine, Playboy, has come to town to see if you have what it takes to be the next Playmate.
And the dreaded tax season is almost at its end. Will you make the deadline? Also, we'll take an inside look at the popular band, Widespread Panic.
And what are your plans for tonight? If nightclubs are your scene, we'll show you what the disc jockey does behind the scenes. So don't go away.
Because the Insight starts now.
Good evening and welcome to The Insight. I'm Stephanie Edmondson.
And I'm Ben Hart.
Playboy magazine paid a visit to Mississippi State recently and chose women to be in the Girls of the SEC issue. Insight reporter Vanessa Culpepper takes a look at how females try to hop into the next Playboy bunny role.
Every 7 years it comes to Starkville. No, I'm not talking about an eclipse of any sort. I'm talking about Playboy magazine. Once a year, Playboy magazine comes out with a special college conference issue, and this year the Southeastern Conference is center stage, which calls for a visit from one of the most popular adult magazines on the newsstands. Eden Orfanos, producer for Playboy, tells us more.
It's the October issue, so it comes out late September, and we shoot about anywhere from 4 to maybe 6 images per school, and of that, usually 1 to 3 make it in the magazine. So if they don't make it into the Playboy issue, they'll make it into the special edition of College Girls, which comes out the next February.
How popular is it?
Oh, it's extremely popular. It's one of the most popular. That's why we, do it every year.
Although it is a popular magazine, some towns are not in favor of Playboy's purpose.
We were even protested last year, but it didn't stop our photo shoot, and we did 5 great images, and all images ended up in the magazine. And we actually took the protesters to dinner.
Eden also tells us why they choose to visit college campuses.
College girls, fresh faces, that's why we come to the college campus. We look for models that wouldn't necessarily come into the office like in Chicago or LA, but that's why we go to the college, because it's less intimidating, I think, for them to come and see us if we're like local.
I also found out what Playboy looks for when choosing a girl of the SEC.
We want someone that's proportionate, of course. We look for all types: athletic, voluptuous. We like girls that come in all shapes and sizes, absolutely. And we're not looking for really any particular standard as far as like aesthetically. And even a girl can be aesthetically beautiful on, as she walks in, but if she doesn't have the right attitude, or I don't know, she could be like really beautiful when you see her, but then she might not register that way in the camera. That's why I said earlier, it just depends on how photogenic someone is.
Paige Odom, a freshman at MSU, tells us why she wants to be a girl of the SEC.
I saw this article in the newspaper advertising interviews for Playboy, and since I'm interested in modeling and pictures and things like that, I decided that I would try to go for it.
Paige also tells us how she felt about interviewing to be a Playboy model.
I was nervous, and then when they said they were going to take pictures, I was a little more nervous, but it turned out all right. It was really good.
So if chosen, what exactly would Paige's reward be?
They get to be in one of the biggest national selling magazines in the world, Playboy magazine, which has Cindy Crawford has graced the cover, and all types of celebrities and models and, superstars of sorts.
Paige tells us what her mom said about possibly becoming a Playboy superstar.
I mentioned it to my mom. She's a little wary about it. She said, don't do anything you'll regret. So,
What would your mother say if you wanted to become a girl of the SEC? For The Insight, I'm Vanessa Culpepper.
Now that April has arrived, spring is in the air. Thankfully, with it comes an end to the tax season. The clock is ticking for those who have not yet filed their taxes, but there is hope. Here's Melissa Harris with more.
If you haven't already filed one of these yet, then chances are you're not a big fan of tax season. The thought of filing tax forms every year can frighten some people. With the introduction of new tax laws every year, the process is not always a walk in the park. Take this young college student, for instance. In between her schoolwork, she was dreading the thought of filing for her taxes.
I had my W-2s and I had cashed in a life insurance policy.
They'll check your prior year taxes for free.
And I didn't know about the tax credit I could get from my tuition, so I thought I was going to have to pay.
The possibility of having to repay federal taxes can create a lot of late filers. Therefore, thousands of people will try to beat this year's April 16 deadline. With less than 2 weeks left to file, the pressure is definitely on. However, there is help for those still waiting to file. Ed James, an H&R Block representative, explains why you should not panic.
I think the main thing they need to do is try to gather up their W-2s. If they're students, they need to find out what their tuition fees are, what they paid. They should have gotten a 1098-T from the school if there was any fees that they've paid. They need to gather up any 1099s that they may have, any tax information they've received from their banks. Students are primarily concerned with their tuition and any fees that are required by the college.
Seeking outside assistance to help with your taxes can bring some unexpected changes.
Tax season is not a problem for me because I came to H&R Block and I got a refund. And next year will probably be even better because now I know about all the laws and I'll be able to write off this year's tuition.
Nevertheless, you still need to hurry or be prepared to face the consequences.
Don't wait until the last day because, you know, if you got a complex situation, then, you know, we may not have time. You may end up filing an extension. Now, a lot of people think extensions, if you file for an extension, that also extends the time that you have to pay. That's not so. If you file for an extension, you're still supposed to pay by April 15th or April 16th.
At the end of every tax season, the federal government expects a large amount of late filers. So remember, the post office will remain open until 12 a.m. on April 16th. For The Insight, I'm Melissa Harris.
So Ben, have you filed your taxes yet?
Sure did. Got a sizable chunk back because of my education credits.
Oh, that's great. I actually had to pay this year. But those of you who are filing taxes, don't forget that the time is coming soon. But coming up on The Insight, all that you need to know about the widely followed band, Widespread Panic.
And the clubs are jumping, the beats are thumping. Who is that DJ and how does he do it? Next.
So stay tuned. We'll be right back with both stories.
In today's multicultural, interconnected world, things change really fast. The only way to compete globally is to get a global education. As a YFU international exchange student, you gain the knowledge and the skills that will prepare you to be a world player. If you're between 15 and 18 and have the guts to jump out of your familiar surroundings and land in one of 30 countries around the world, you're the type of student YFU is looking for. Call 1-800-ARE-YOU-READY and ask for this free book on international exchange for high school students.
In a world of constant change, a solid foundation is the key to success. The 12 institutions comprising the Southeastern Conference form pillars of academic and athletic excellence. For more than 6 decades, the SEC's commitment to teamwork and achievement has provided the foundation for student athletes to become the leaders of the next millennium. The Southeastern Conference, a proven past, a promising future.
I have diabetes.
It can lead to more serious health problems.
I'm taking control of what I eat.
I'm exercising, taking my medicine, and testing my blood sugar.
I'll be around for my family, for life.
Control your diabetes for life. Call to find out how.
Excuse me, are you Santa Claus? If you are him, here's my list.
Help the Marines make Christmas possible for less fortunate children. Donate a new toy to Toys for Tots.
Hi, I graduated from a small high school in a small town, and going off to college was pretty scary. That's one reason I'm glad I came to Mississippi State University. Everyone here is so friendly, and the professors are so helpful. It's almost like I never left home. I feel like the people here are really watching out for me, and I know I'm getting a great education.
Among the various types of music that students enjoy is the ever-popular band known as Widespread Panic. I took a closer look at the band before their highly anticipated appearance on our campus April the 25th. Does this band look familiar to you? Well, if it does, then you know exactly who they are, Widespread Panic. And if you're a big fan of Widespread Panic, you'll get a chance to see them here on Mississippi State campus Wednesday, April the 25th, brought to you by Mississippi State University Music Makers. Molly Carson, a music maker, talks more about the band coming.
I've heard lots of different people having requests. Usually for Widespread shows, all the fans usually have one particular song or two particular songs they want to hear. So I'm sure closer to time, people are really going to be trying to pick their favorites.
Widespread Panic originated in Athens, Georgia, and have been together for around 15 years. There are many followers of Widespread Panic that tour with them all year round. Lead singer John Bell and keyboardist JoJo Herman talks a little more in depth about their band.
But as far as the TV gig goes, get to play a whole set, and that's rare.
Rock and roll has always been about energy, and Widespread Panic embodies this notion like no other band in the world. The band's epic performances have earned them a dedicated entourage of fans who follow them around the nation and the world.
Here we actually got to do what we do. in front of people and then in front of the cameras too.
Widespread Panic ranked number 51 on Polestar magazine's top 100 touring bands for 1999. The band entered the record books in 1998 when 100,000 fans flooded the streets of Panic's hometown of Athens, Georgia, for the band's CD release party for the live album Light Fuse Getaway.
One constant was Black Sabbath.
Led Zeppelin.
Between everybody. Yeah.
We all listened to like heavy 70s rock, everything what 14-year-old boys listened to back in the 70s.
Widespread Panic first performed in 1985 at the University of Georgia as a trio made up of guitarist John Bell, Michael Hauser, and Dave Schools. The band took its name from Hauser's then nickname Panic. Drummer Todd Nance and percussionist Domingo Ortez soon joined the fold, and the current lineup was completed in 1992 with the addition of keyboardist JoJo Herman.
Several years ago in an interview, somebody asked who our biggest influences were today, and it's basically each other now, because we're around each other so much, and musically we hear more of each other than we do anything else, and that seems to get through.
Molly Carson tells more about Widespread Panic coming to Starkville, how they're coming, and what to expect when they get here.
The concert will be April 25th. That's a Wednesday. I'm not sure exactly of the time. We'll know closer, probably at 7 o'clock, I believe. And then it's at the Humphrey Coliseum. There will be a lot of local support, definitely. And traditionally, Widespread does have a pretty big following from not only the South, but from other areas as well. So I think we can expect a pretty good crowd from lots of different locations.
Today, Widespread Panic continues to push the envelope with its percussive musical style and exceptional musicianship. As Widespread Records develops and the band continues to tour relentlessly, only one thing is for sure: there will be many more joyous occasions to come ahead. With less than a month away, Widespread Panic fans are ready and eager for them to come to Starkville. For more information on the band, you can visit their website at www.widespreadpanic.com. Reporting for The Insight, I'm Stephanie Edmondson. Every week, we take our cameras out on the streets to see what insights you have to share about issues that affect our lives. Here is what many people had to say about what type of music they would like to see on the campus of Mississippi State.
Yes, I'm very excited about Widespread Panic coming to Starkville, Mississippi. I've been a big fan of them for a very long time, and this is just a great thing.
No, I'm not. Other people like them, that's fine, but I think they suck. So.
No, I don't even know who they are.
What kind of bands would you like to see Mississippi State bring?
I like all sorts of music, so I'd probably like Widespread Panic if I heard them, but I just never heard them before, so I'm pretty open to whoever they brought.
I like their music, but I probably won't go to their concert.
How about you?
Same thing.
If you could have a band that could come to Mississippi State, which band would you like?
Dave Matthews.
How about you?
I want the Dixie Chicks.
Not especially, no.
What kind of music do you like?
I like the hard rock type alternative stuff.
And so if you could have a band come to Starkville, what would it be?
It would be something like Godsmack and Deftones, Limp Bizkit, stuff like that.
Yeah, I like them, yeah.
Are you going to go hear Widespread Panic when they come to Starkville?
Yes, I will. I will go see, what's the name again?
Widespread Panic?
Widespread Panic. I'll be there.
All right, cool. If you have an opinion on this story or any other story ideas, send us an email to insight@org.msstate.edu. That's insight@org.msstate.edu.
Most college students enjoy clubbing, and regardless of what type of music is playing, there's always one person that delivers the vibe. I did a little digging to see what being a DJ is all about. When you go to a party, it usually seems like everyone there is having a good time. But did you ever think about the guy or girl that's making it all happen? The word disc jockey originally applied to the people who would spin records on the radio. But by the early 80s, with the advent of the mixer and the frequent use of 2 or more turntables, a new definition for DJs was born. The guy who plays the music that gets the party hype. But it's not a cakewalk for DJs.
I think the first thing people think of when they think of a DJ is a guy that comes in and spins records. That's just a small part of what we do. I mean, when you're a DJ, you have to put in preparation. You just don't show up at a party to play the cha-cha slide or play other things. You have to kind of analyze your crowd. You have to take time to invest in equipment that will be suitable for the type of parties you're doing. And then you have to be a business person on the other end where you have to interact with different people. And sometimes you don't hear what you want to hear or you don't do what you want to do musically, but you have to put up with it. So you kind of have to wear 2 or 3 different hats.
After all the business particulars, DJs still have to keep up with the changing technology just to be competitive.
Back in the day, people thought about DJs as a guy who threw a record on, flipped the record, spinning backwards, scratched a little bit, mixed it up, you know, got the groove going. But as things have progressed, it's went from that to CDs. And basically with CDs, they're easy to find. You can record them. You can get a copy from a buddy. You can go into your computer and you can remix something and you can download it off of your hard drive onto or record it or burn it onto a CD.
When it comes down to it, equipment is always important, but the selling point is always the DJ's skill.
The worst thing you can do is have a DJ that's not prepared and not capable. That's like having a car with no gas. It's like having a sandwich with no Miracle Whip, or just plain old Kool-Aid with no sugar. Just doesn't get it.
Reporting for The Insight, I'm Ben Hart. That's all the time we have for this week's edition of The Insight. We hope you've enjoyed it.
And you can get more information of The Insight on the web at www.msstate.edu/DEPT/communication.
Thanks for joining us tonight. We'll see you here next time on The Insight.
So what is all that construction about? We'll show you what new businesses are popping up in Starkville.
We'll also tell you why minors are finding it more difficult to purchase alcohol.
And you can also find out if all those glances in the mirror could mean you have a narcissistic personality disorder. So don't go away.
Because The Insight starts now.
Good evening and welcome to The Insight. I'm Stephanie Edmondson.
And I'm Ben Hart.
Starkville may not be anywhere close to being a metropolis, but it is also expanding rapidly. With the increase in population comes the need for more economic development. Insight reporter Michelle Casson tells us what's in the store for the future.
The city of Starkville is rapidly growing. With the increasing population comes the demand for economic growth and development. I talked with John Rucker of OCEDA, Oktibbeha County Economic Development Authority, to find out what's going on currently and what the citizens and students have to look forward to.
The Oktibbeha County Economic Development Authority is very excited about what's going on in Oktibbeha County as well as in the city of Starkville. As you know, the city of Starkville is the largest area as far as population is concerned within the county, having a population of about 22,500 people now, and also the county has about 48,000. That's up 18.5% of what it was in 1990 when the last census was done. And there are only 2 communities in North Mississippi that are growing at that rate, and that's, believe it or not, Oxford and Starkville. The most important things that are happening here, and not necessarily in this order, but let's think about first Mississippi State University growing as fast as it is and providing a wonderful industry for us here in the community. So we naturally want to cater to the students and do things that we can to assist the students in having a better quality of life here in Starkville, and also the people who work at the university. So it's very important to us. Number one thing that's going on here right now that's very critical to our growth, and we will see a lot come from it, would be the development of the new highway bypass. We've got 24 miles of new highway under construction around Starkville. You're probably familiar with that. If you come up from the Jackson area, you see where we're connecting 225 about 8 miles out on the southern part of the community. We'll have that series of highways, or that mileage, about 8 miles, will open up in September of 2002. So the paving contract has been let for that. So you will see a lot of development that will occur, and has occurred, out on 25 and 12 in that vicinity where the new Walmart, Super Walmart store is. You know where that bypass is probably that's there. So in a year and a half or so, we'll be using that highway, and you'll see other businesses, so forth, grow around that bypass system. In addition to that, we're developing a 237 acre industrial park and e-commerce park at the southwest corner of 12 and 25. On April the 12th, we will move the Employees for Service Zone, which is in operation at the Center for Manufacturing Technology Excellence at East Mississippi Community College, into the park. There are 400 people already employed in that operation, which is nothing more than a tech support group or a tech support company for Gateway and other, eventually other PC manufacturers and financial institutions.
Although construction seems to consume Starkville and Oktibbeha County, the carpenters and their tools are working hard to help develop our community. Not only will these new roads and businesses meet the needs of residents, they will also provide jobs for many people.
In addition to that facility for the Research and Technology Park, we got Nissan's going to build a advanced design center for new automobiles right here in the Research Park, and that's going to be about $9 million project. Naturally, it will employ a great number of students at Mississippi State. You already got a movie house out there we talked about before. You know, it took years for that movie house to come to town, but when it was seen that it would be beneficial, not beneficial, but profitable to have one here, then of course it finally came to town. So we're excited about that. Out there on the west side of town, not quite as far out, you know, is the new Remington Club restaurant and the new bowling alley, which is a tremendous asset to the community.
From the Waffle House on the east side of town to the new Super Walmart on the west side, Starkville is expanding. In the next 10 years, we can look for even more economic development. Keep your eyes open for who knows what more is to come. I'm Michelle Kassan, reporting for the Insight.
More and more officials and vendors are cracking down on minors turning up the bottle. Kit Bryan tells us what steps bar and store owners are taking to keep alcohol out of the hands of those under 21.
Alcohol in college. To many, the two go hand in hand, but many students are underage and purchasing or consuming alcohol is illegal. Still, underage drinkers find a way to get their hands on alcohol, and in a college town where the opportunities for minors is limitless, bar owners are having to combat this problem in several ways. Rick Welch, owner of Rick's Cafe American, tells us how he keeps underage drinkers from getting their hands on alcohol.
We use several ways. First of all, we use an armband system. If you're 21 and older, you get an armband. If you're under 21, 18 to 20, you get a stamp. And that way, and the armbands are they're made of nylon, so if you tear it or try to take it off and put it on somebody else's arm, it's real obvious. And the second way is we have deputy sheriffs, off-duty deputy sheriffs that work the door and patrol the bar. Number one, they check IDs, and they're more qualified than anybody to check IDs, and it's very, very common that they take up fake IDs. On any given night, they could take up 8 to 15. And then the second way, second very useful way to prevent underage drinking is by having the deputies patrol the bar and look for people without wristbands.
Selling alcohol to minors is not only a problem limited to bars. Any establishment that sells alcohol must be on the lookout for underage drinkers. Businesses that do sell alcohol to minors face steep penalties.
If the bartender gets caught serving an underage person, they can get fined up to $500 to $1,000, and the business owner could lose his or her license for a week on the first offense, 2 weeks second, and then indefinitely the third offense.
Minors can also face steep penalties. Anyone caught using a fake ID could face a $5,000 fine and jail time. So if you're underage, you might want to think twice, or you could spend a little time here instead of at the bar. For The Insight, I'm Kit Bryant.
Every week we take our cameras out on the street to see what insights you have to share about the issues that affect our lives. You told us whether or not you thought underage drinking is a problem.
It would be a problem because there's some students that are not the age allowed to drink yet, and they still party and go out and drink.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I think it is a problem because stores around the area sell it to the minors. So yeah, I think it is a problem.
Certain establishments around town, but for the most part, I'm sure they all know somebody that can get it for them that's overage.
It can be. It just depends on the person. I don't think it's that big of a deal. You know, the cops here are pretty tight, and they don't let you do too much. So, you know, it just depends on the person, really.
If you have an opinion on this or any other story ideas, send an email to insight@org.msstate.edu. That's insight@org.msstate.edu.
And coming up on The Insight, you can take a closer look at yourself and narcissistic personality disorder.
So stay tuned because we'll be right back with that story.
I joined the Peace Corps because it gave me an opportunity to do something worthwhile. We were providing clean water, which to everyone there is health, and we try to do the same thing here by just providing health care. Compassion, perspective, a sense of adventure. Those three things help me get through the day and make me a better doc. I'd recommend the Peace Corps to anyone that was thinking about any job. It'll help them excel and be better at whatever they do. You learn the value of service. You're going to want to be in the position to give service back.
Peace Corps volunteers, changing the world, changing America.
When it comes to college athletics, fan support can mean the difference between winning and losing. If you know of a student athlete that has an interest in your favorite school, make the right play. Contact the school's coaching staff. Athletic department officials are the only representatives allowed by NCAA regulations to participate in the recruiting process. Failure to follow these guidelines could ultimately mean the end of the game, both for the student athlete and your school. The Southeastern Conference, teaming up to make a difference.
Come on, you! It's time to step up to the plate! Go State! Go State! Step up to the plate!
Go to your county office and ask for Mississippi State license plate.
Let's show everybody that the Bulldogs rule the road.
You! Come on! Step up to the plate!
Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? Most people don't know the extent of narcissistic personality disorder. Here's Lakeisha Hardy to tell us more.
Narcissistic personality disorder is characterized by an individual's inflated sense of self. In 1998, Havelock Ellis conceptualize narcissism as autoerotism, which means you're in love with yourself. The person with this disorder is often insensitive to other people's feelings. But there is more to know. Dr. Cox, director of the Counseling Center, explains the big idea about the history of this personality disorder.
The term was first sort of introduced in the late 1800s, 1898 to be exact, and it's evolved over the course of this past century. It comes from the Greek myth of Narcissus, the young man who fell in love with his own reflection, and the gods were sort of put out by his own admiration of himself, and they turned him into a white flower that we now call paper whites or narcissus. And it basically means self-love, thinking that you're incredibly special and you're incredibly worthy of admiration, that you're superior to other people.
This disorder is more commonly diagnosed among men because they are more socialized to be confident. But there are some common social factors associated with this disorder. Tom Woodruff has more.
Being given an exaggerated sense of self by family, by other people along that line. It could also be in response to someone who grows up in a situation where they're maybe kind of beaten down by the world around them, and it's an exaggerated response to that, to where they develop a sense of grandiosity or exaggerated self-worth or importance.
This disorder is more common in upper to middle class families, and the age onset is in the mid-20s. Treatment can be challenging. Dr. Cox tells more.
Typically what will bring someone who's narcissistic into treatment is an angry spouse who said, I'm going to leave you if you don't get some help. You're arrogant, you're selfish, you're self-involved, I'm not getting anything out of this relationship. Or if they get fired from a job, something that sends them into a depression, they'll come in for treatment. As soon as they get over feeling depressed or rejected and they start feeling better, their motivation for change is gone. So intrapsychic long-term therapy is typically what's prescribed, and it can be effective, but it's very difficult.
Underneath the grandiosity, people with this disorder exhibit an inadequate sense of self, and they are not a threat to society. I'm Lakeisha Hardy, reporting for The Insight.
That's all the time we have for this week's edition of The Insight. Hope you've enjoyed it.
And you can get more insight on the web at www.msstate.edu/DEPT/communication.
Thanks for joining us tonight, and we'll see you here next time on The Insight.
Today on The Insight, we'll take a closer look at the ancient Chinese practice of acupuncture.
And we'll tell you about the success of a local small business run by MSU students. We'll also tell you how to find a job after graduation.
And find out how to keep your car happy and healthy.
Because The Insight starts now.
Good evening and welcome to The Insight. I'm Stephanie Edmondson.
And I'm Lakeisha Hardy. I hope everyone had a happy Easter. How was your Easter?
It was wonderful. How about yours?
It was great.
I really enjoyed the break. Do you remember the last time you had your finger pricked? Well, imagine needles pricking you in your head, shoulders, knees, or even toes. Vanessa Culpepper shows us how people find relief in acupuncture.
You can't find one of these in Mississippi. You'll have to visit Hoover, Alabama for the nearest acupuncture clinic because Mississippi is one of the 12 United States that still does not recognize acupuncture as a method of healing. Dr. Gregory Chen tells us what acupuncture is.
Acupuncture is a technique developed in China, and at this moment, people think use very fine wires or needles insert different parts of the body to help you release pain or cure diseases.
This ancient procedure can cure more than just your everyday headache.
Migraine headache, backache, back pain, arthritis, and drug addictions, emotional problem, anxiety, depression. And in China, we treat a lot of other problems, like all the internal organs, the heart, stomach, liver, kidney, you name it, can treat it.
Acupuncture interferes with our body's natural processes to trigger self-healing.
They disturb our natural balance. Then after you even take out the needle, your body have to hurry find out what's wrong with you and try to rebalance your system and regain your health.
Lucille Bailey came from Texas to visit Dr. Chen after deciding to try acupuncture to cure her ailments.
I had a stroke, and I'm very dizzy, and trying to connect all my pieces that are disconnected in my head.
Lucille finally turned to acupuncture after trying almost every other form of medicine.
All kinds of combinations of medications and therapy and just, it's just almost anything you want to think of it. They try to get rid of this dizziness.
Dr. Chen suggests patients in chronic pain use Western practices for a diagnosis and use acupuncture to cure it because it is safer. In 1994, 2 million patients were hospitalized because of prescription drug use, and 106,000 of those died. There have been no fatalities in the United States due to acupuncture. This practice was used thousands of years ago by the Europeans, Indians, and Egyptians, but it was perfected by the Chinese, and although it is an ancient procedure, many Americans are still skeptical about its effectiveness.
In the United States, because the patient come in always late, they come in as last resort, even under that condition, and still around 80–85% effective rate. In China, a lot of categories around 90 or 95%.
So what will Lucille do if she's not part of the 85% cured?
Just live dizzy.
Reporting for The Insight, I'm Vanessa Culpepper.
It takes a lot of work for small businesses to make it these days. The owners of a local marketing company knows that all too well. But with time on their side, these three entrepreneurs have nothing to lose. Here's Melissa Harris with more.
Have you seen this car around town lately? Well, if so, then you probably have already heard about Lutech Technology and Holdings Company. But you probably don't know the company was founded and ran by Mississippi State students. Lutech Technology deals with everything from web and graphic designs to turnkey promotions and video production. 24-year-old President and CEO Paul Luckett has already captured the American dream of owning his own business.
Probably the age of 10 or 12, I started selling poetry and drawings, being a young entrepreneur. And from that point, I went on to doing more things like in high school, I would draw on people's jeans for, you know, $1, $2, and I would draw on their folders, things of that sort. So it's always been an interest of mine to go into business for myself. And going into business with my father, I guess, would mark the pinnacle of my entrepreneurial endeavors.
Paul, along with Todd and Robert, have managed to build a respectable and profitable business that caters to small businesses.
We do take care of the three facets of business, which are marketing, technology, and management. And I feel as though we offer good services at good prices for any business, for that matter, in any facet, for that matter. So when people think of LUTEC, I want them to think of us as the full-service business.
Okay, so they are young college students, but upon meeting these three entrepreneurs, one quickly realizes they are very serious when it comes to business.
A student has nothing to do with it. I mean, in this business world, we look for performance, you know, and results. And I have been able to receive both performance and result from Luckett, Longstreet, and Jones.
When looking to promote his product, Shaver's Choice Shaving Cream, John Campbell knew just who to turn to, and he has not looked back since.
Actually, we are in the first stage of marketing this product, and so far everything that Luckett, Longstreet, and Jones had agreed to do, they have came through so far, and in person I'm well pleased with their performance.
While LUTEC looks forward to branching offices across the area, Paul offers some advice to those with their own dreams.
I really feel that there is nothing particularly unattainable about having your own business. And one of my favorite quotes here, as it was provided by my little brother, is that real leaders are just ordinary people with extraordinary determination. And I really feel that through my faith in God and through just sheer determination has brought me to the point that I'm at now. And I just challenge those that at one point were afraid to pursue those dreams and aspirations not to be, and just to go forward, just dive in. You're at the perfect time, perfect age to do those things.
Reporting for The Insight, I'm Melissa Harris.
Soon-to-be graduates, are you scared because you don't have a job yet and don't want to move back home? Well, you don't want to miss our next story.
And if you're keeping your car running is a problem, you need to hear this story on Car Care. So stay tuned because we'll be right back.
The Southeastern Conference, setting the standard. Unprecedented year in athletic and academic achievement. 12 member institutions committed to excellence and the promise of the future. The Southeastern Conference, where champions are made.
How would you like to work with molecular biologists designing genetically improved crops, or use remote sensing technology to manage Earth's resources from space? You could even help design the next generation of aircraft and submarines, learning and working in the only National Science Foundation Engineering Research Center focused on supercomputing. You can do it all at Mississippi State, a national research university preparing leaders for the 21st century.
It's about your money and making your money work for you. It's about education and owning your own home. It's about a piece of the action, about competitive rates and tax breaks. It's about vacations and retirement. It's about America, U.S. savings bonds.
Mississippi State, one of America's top 100 research universities, provides leadership in scientific agriculture. Our researchers work with corporations such as Monsanto and Delta and Pineland to design genetically improved cotton that protects itself from insects and resists disease. Mississippi State biotechnology research reduces the need for chemical insecticides, and that benefits farmers and the environment. Mississippi State University, providing leadership for the 21st century.
Puzzled about Social Security? To help decide its future, learn how all the pieces fit together now. Call 1-800-772-1213 and ask for the booklet, The Future of Social Security.
It's getting close to graduation, and do you seniors have a job lined up? If not, check out these hot tips I found out for searching for that first-time job. Graduation is near, so are all you soon-to-be graduates prepared. Graduating from college can be a scary time for some, especially finding that perfect job. I spoke with a student on how well Mississippi State has prepared her for graduation.
Mississippi State has very well prepared me. All my advisors and my internship coordinators and the career services have all been a big help, and I've had speakers in classes that have prepared me on how to format my resumes and things like that, so I think this will be a great help to me.
Some students co-op, others do internships. Gina talks about the choice she made to prepare her for her future.
I had to complete an internship. It was a 14-week internship, which was 580 hours at Arnold Palmer Hospital for Children and Women in Orlando, Florida, before I actually received my diploma.
Looking for a job can be a difficult task, but there are many options to choose from in searching for a job. By searching the web, Mississippi State Career Service Center, the employment agencies, and even the classifieds.
I started thinking of possible locations the beginning of my junior year.
Here is a little advice for those of you for when graduation comes your way.
Start early, most importantly, and just know your locations. Be flexible. Have a wide range of places where you'd want to go to. Don't just limit yourself to wanting to stay in one area, because it's experience. Go off somewhere if you're able to.
So all you seniors, get ready and get the move on it so you can find the perfect job for you. Reporting for The Insight, I'm Stephanie Edmondson.
Keeping your car on the road involves more than just holding the steering wheel. It also involves a little maintenance under the hood. Ben Hart has preventative tips on how to keep you on the road and out of the shop.
Do you know the ins and outs of this thing? If you're like most people, you probably don't. Today I'm going to show you some simple steps to keep you from experiencing this. Car trouble. Everybody has it, but there are ways to keep your troubles as well as your expenses to a minimum. Regularly checking your gauges is always the first step. For most cars, when your battery, oil, and temperature gauges are in the normal setting, they represent that the car's vital organs are doing okay. You might already know that oil in a car is like blood in a person, so it's important to check your oil manually to make sure that it's a light color and that there's no more or less than is required for your car. Your turning ability and gas mileage are dependent on proper tire inflation. Be sure to check the side of the tire and keep the proper amount of air in the tire. When you check your transmission fluid, you always have to leave your car running so you can get a good reading. Pink and perfect. Another essential preventative measure is keeping your radiator coolant full. It's a must. Without your coolant, your car will run hot, and that could cost you a pretty penny to fix. These basic, inexpensive items can keep your car running strong. So as you can see, keeping your car running well is as easy as checking your fluids and knowing what the gauges are supposed to say. With another word to the wise, I'm Ben Hart from The Insight.
Thanks, Ben, for those good tips on how to keep your car healthy. How's your car doing, Lakeisha?
Fortunately, I do not have car problems because my father is a mechanic.
Oh, that's good. That's good. My car always stays in the shop.
That's all the time we have now for this week's edition of The Insight. We hope you've enjoyed it.
And you can get more information on The Insight on the web at www.msstate.edu/DEPT/communication.
Thanks for joining us tonight, and we'll see you here next time on The Insight.
Today on The Insight, we'll delve into the pros and cons of having the new Super Walmart in the Starkville area.
And we'll also tell you about the risks you may be taking when you make a call on your cell phone.
And find out what goes on behind the scenes at a production company. It's all coming up, so stay tuned.
Because The Insight starts now.
Good evening and welcome to The Insight. I'm Stephanie Edmondson.
And I'm Vanessa Culpepper, and I just wanted to say that this is the final episode of The Insight for this semester.
And we hope that you viewers have enjoyed it as much as we have. It's been a lot of fun this semester, wouldn't you say so? Yeah. We hope you enjoy our last show. Were you one of the many people waiting for the grand opening of the new Super Walmart in Starkville? Many don't know all the ramifications of having new Walmart. Here's Kit Bryant with more.
The signs of expansion in Starkville are evident everywhere, and one such place is the new Walmart Supercenter. But how does this introduction of the Supercenter affect Starkville?
Well, it immediately changes the traffic patterns, and it's something that you'll see development around Walmart. It does draw in a lot of people even from outside of this area, and so there's opportunities for developers and other retailers to come into that area and take advantage of Walmart's location.
But besides cheaper prices, what else does the new Walmart bring to the community?
The real thing that feeds the economy of any community is sales tax proceeds, and Walmart is going to be the largest generator of sales tax in this community. And that goes into, city, transferred into city services, fire protection, police protection, water, sewer, it's roads, it's parks. Everything that comes from a city in the form of services that the citizens are looking for, a good portion of that is supported by sales tax.
But does the new Supercenter provide unfair competition for local merchants who cannot compete with the lower prices?
Walmart is competition, strong competition for retailers, especially smaller retailers. But bigger is not necessarily better. It's just a matter that those retailers decide, well, what can we do that Walmart is not doing? What niche market can we serve? Walmart is not the answer to everyone's needs.
While it remains to be seen if the new Walmart has a negative effect on local businesses, it is a positive step in the expansion of Starkville. For The Insight, I'm Kit Bryant.
Do you think cell phones are dangerous, or are you one of the many people that have become dependent on your wireless phone? Every day, more and more people are using cell phones, not only in their cars, but as a virtual replacement for their home phone. Here's Michelle Kassan with the story.
Does this sound familiar? It seems as though everyone is connected in the cellular world today. Although many people claim that cell phones are dangerous, a large percentage of the U.S. population is wireless. It is estimated that 7 out of 10 Americans own a cell phone. Cell phones are becoming a necessity in the business world and are essential for traveling safety. You can find a phone, plan, and carrier to meet your personal needs easily. From cellular to digital, companies are in every city and even in supermarkets. Inexpensive long distance, convenience, business, and safety are just a few of the benefits gained through use of a cell phone.
Well, there's lots of benefits to having cell phones today. As most people know, safety is probably the most important. If you're stranded out on that road and you need one, it's really good to have in that sense. I think they save a lot of time, a lot of money. And pretty much, there's a plan for everybody.
In today's world, everyone has a cell phone. It's a must. People are they're dropping their home phones and they're replacing them with a cell phone because it can go everywhere with you 24/7. In the car, in the store, you can be reached around the clock with your cell phone. There's a lot of controversy out there. People claiming how unsafe cell phones can be. When you're driving, well, you can walk across the street and get killed if you don't look. And I think, you know, it's the people that are dangerous. It's not exactly the phone.
You can let your personality reflect with your cell phone by choosing a decorative cover. There are designs in every color and graphic you can imagine. You can even personalize your cell phone's ring.
As people are different, also cell phones are different. You know, you have real big ones, you have real small ones. So if you need a small one, you can usually get a small one. They make them about the size of a little bit bigger than a pack of gum now, to where you can just slide them in your pocket with lots of different features.
If you're not cellular and you want to be, the hardest part about getting a phone is choosing a wireless company. In Starkville alone, there are at least 7 companies from CenturyTel to Sprint. Finding the right plan for you is what's important.
My advice would be, you know, to shop around and find, you know, what you need, because so many different carriers offer so many different options.
Wireless and digital phones are definitely the fastest growing market in communication today. The phones are affordable and provide many benefits. Will you be the next to go wireless? I'm Michelle Kassan, reporting for The Insight.
Thanks, Michelle, for those good tips on cellular phones. I do have a cellular phone, and after watching this, it makes me not want to talk as much on it, just how expensive the bills can be from month to month.
I don't have one, but when I'm driving, I do see other people on their cell phones, and it does affect their driving ability, so be careful out there.
Everyone now seems to have a cell phone. Well, have you ever wondered who makes those commercials that you see on TV? Stay tuned for a look at the ins and outs of TV production.
The Southeastern Conference, setting the standard. An unprecedented year in athletic and academic achievements. 12-member institutions committed to excellence and the promise of the future. The Southeastern Conference, where champions are made.
How would you like to work with molecular biologists designing genetically improved crops, or use remote sensing technology to manage Earth's resources from space? You could even help design the next generation of aircraft and submarines, learning and working in the only National Science Foundation Engineering Research Center focused on supercomputing. You can do it all at Mississippi State, a national research university preparing leaders for the 21st century.
It's about your money and making your money work for you. It's about education and owning your own home. It's about a piece of the action, about competitive rates and tax breaks. It's about vacations and retirement. It's about America, U.S. savings bonds.
Mississippi State, one of America's top 100 research universities, provides leadership in scientific agriculture. Our researchers work with corporations such as Monsanto and Delta and Pineland to design genetically improved cotton that protects itself from insects and resists disease. Mississippi State biotechnology research reduces the need for chemical insecticides, and that benefits farmers and the environment. Mississippi State University, providing leadership for the 21st century.
Puzzled about Social Security? To help decide its future, learn how all the pieces fit together now. Call 1-800-772-1213 and ask for the booklet, The Future of Social Security.
Production companies are the birthplace of some of your favorite commercials. If you've ever wondered about what goes on behind the scenes, here's Lakeisha Hardy with what happens at a production studio.
Have you ever wondered how a production company operates? Have you ever asked yourself who makes many of those local commercials in Starkville and the surrounding areas? If so, think no further, because here is an up-close look at just how a production company actually functions. Clay Surley, producer at Broadcast Media, has more.
You know, you start with your raw material, which is, it can be brainstorming for any kind of production you have, whether it be a commercial or an industrial video, and then you move into procuring your raw material, which is kind of a shooting thing. Shoot your shots and your animation and whatever have you. Get all your audio down, and then you edit it. Put everything together so that you have a cohesive finished product, and that the client will accept and approve. And that's basically the flow of production work.
Along with long business hours and means, there is still more work to be done in the field. Warren Evans, production director for broadcast media, has more.
When you get into the field, you need to make sure that your lighting is correct, that that you've white balanced, and that you've got nice framing. You don't want any heads cut off. You don't want anything out of focus. But one of the main important things is to be able to communicate with the person that you're working with. Let them have an idea of what your vision is and does it suit their needs. And you don't want to assume anything. And one thing that really helps out, is when you're making your plans, always make time to do it right, because you're going to need to make time to do it again if it's not done right.
A production company and a videographer are aware of the many problems that could arise, such as broken mics and absent clients. The best way to avoid problems would include a pre-setup before filming. After the footage is finally gathered, then the editing process begins. Clay explains more about this process.
Editing is very much a stylistic thing. It depends on the person who's editing and what type of editing is. Used to be in the old days, you cut film and taped it together basically. Nowadays you have computers like the one behind me here. You can go in any order that you want to. You don't have to do a linear, it's called non-linear editing. You don't have to do a linear flow to anything.
Work at a production company can be grueling, but the finished product is always rewarding. I'm Lakeisha Hardy, reporting for The Insight.
That's all the time we have now for our final episode of The Insight. We hope you've enjoyed it. And I do want to mention that it is Stephanie's senior year, and she will be graduating this May, and we wish her luck in everything she does in the future.
Thank you so much. Maybe you'll see me on CNN one day. Well, we hope you enjoyed the weather outside. It's been really nice. You can tell summer's getting near, so everyone go outside and get some sun. But about The Insight, you can get more insight on our web at www.msstate.edu/DEPT/communication.
Thanks for joining us tonight, and we'll see you here next time with a new cast and more great stories on The Insight.